So the CERN is the same. They are lying. They're going to subatomic levels. They know a lot of things. And actually what we see is that they're actually summoning. They're summoning entities to come in a portal.
Right.
And it is exactly what happened. I don't know if you want to talk about it now. At the eclipse, that's when I posted most, because I was like, whoa, the Director General of the CERN, I can even quote that.
Yes, let's talk about it.
I think he's called Rich Sutton, who created the quantum computer D-Wave. And he said that in the TED Talk that they are really waiting now for entities and aliens coming in portals. And, these entities we are summoning, it's going to work soon. And so now they're summoning through the AI. But anyway, let's come back to the CERN on 8th of April, the eclipse. But they've tried it before, I think in July 22, I saw.
All Things Unexplained is free to watch on YouTube and listen to wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to support our show, you can visit our YouTube store. Additionally, you can find us on Venmo under All Things Unexplained. Be sure to check out our website, allthingsunexplained.com. All proceeds from the sales of Dr. Mounce's books on Amazon and Audible also go straight to our show.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic drew their plans against us.
All of a sudden, a stick out of nowhere landed right in front of us, and there was no tree, nothing overhead. Something threw it at us.
Yeah.
All Things Unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.
Hello, all you unexplained ones. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, CJ Derringer, along with my co-host, Dr. Mounce. Something we don't get to say often is good morning. Normally, we're recording these shows at night. So good morning to everyone who is joining us. Thank you for tuning in. We really love all of our listeners in this community that we have built here at All Things Unexplained of open-minded people. And we have a wonderful show for you today. You are not going to want to miss this conversation. Please do like and subscribe, follow our show so that we can continue bringing this wonderful information to you. And now we are going to welcome to the show Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. Good morning, Dr. Stuckelberger.
Good morning, both. Thank you for inviting me. This is a fantastic adventure.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we stumbled upon you because you have done a few interviews recently talking about CERN and what they are uncovering there. But that's not your history. You started in the public health world, and we are going to dive into all of her thoughts and ideas about CERN. But I do want to start with a little background on you. Tell us about your education, where you started, and where you're headed.
Yes, well, I'm a scientist, but I actually was already a parascientist in my soul before. So a meta scientist and parascientist. But I started in biology because my aim was, and that's maybe important. So my aim was to understand what I can change and what I can't change, what is predestined and what is not predestined, what is due to the hazard or not, and to understand the meaning of all of it. So we're right in the right spot. So I started in biology, went to psychology, and then ended up in WHO, in medicine, in the mental health department, to analyze the differential diagnosis in the cultures. And actually, it's very difficult to make one standard diagnosis. So I saw that culture is linked to much more than that, and the belief are much more a factor in all research than we think. And I moved to science in the Faculty of Medicine, got a Privatdozent, got a PhD in epidemiology, but public health. And since then, I've been doing governments, review of science in many, like anti-aging medicine and longevity was one of them, my expertise. But in WHO also, so WHO hired me many times on the pandemic. So I know right away that it was all wrong and all a fraud, but it's like that. And then it was in ethics and in many different factors of health. But I also was interested in spiritual health and the other factors, multidimensional. So I actually encountered the Director General of WHO, Altan Mahler, who wanted to change the definition of health by adding it's not only it's a state of well-being, physical, mental, and social, and not just a lack of handicap or just but he wanted to add spiritual, and it was pulled under the carpet. So I have been looking for other meanings, even in the UN, and I have worked in many other departments in the UN, and Faculty of Medicine, 30 years of struggle as a woman. But I love science and I love investigation. And I'm very open because we don't know, and that's the statement really, nobody knows the real truth of anything. We have to stay open, and particularly in what's happening now, it's a fantastic scenery of investigation. We get so much information that was hidden to us. So I'm happy to be, and I accepted to be on your show because that's exactly what we have to do, the unexplained.
Yes. And I can testify that you are a lifelong learner, because once we got on, you were already telling us about different things you were researching and videos that you had been watching. And so it didn't stop for you. It continues. And that's how you came to us, which we're so lucky. Now I'm going to ask you $1 million question here, because you do study longevity. What do you think is one thing that everybody could change today, simple thing, that could help with longevity?
Can I say just, it's one thing, it's epigenetics.
You would like.
Actually, it's epigenetics. The whole world is talking of genome, but actually the genome is hidden to us. What they have discovered, even Howard says that it's only 10% of our genome. And because they're lying so much, I start to wonder how they describe it, with the double helix, if it's not just vibration and frequency, and we are embodied in that frequency. The epigenetic is the expression of the gene, and there are 3 factors that have been proven to change whether your choice is to be healthy, and it can change in a day, to the whole thing. If you're healthy, or if you're going to be sick, if you're going to live long or not, and it is subjective emotional aspect, so it's very subjective, and that's why you have to stay at a high frequency. And high frequency is actually the best. Is you can measure that. It's been measured. It's love, but authenticity is actually higher. So if you love with authenticity, the truth, you are raising up, and that's what we're doing. So that's the first. And the second is lifestyle, and it expresses the gene, good or bad. If it's nutrition, what you do with your body. And actually, physical activity is an antidepressant, and nutrition can heal everything and can detox, anything that has been falling on our heads, and nanoparticles of what they're trying to do. And the third one is environment. So the environment where you live, even the painting you use on your walls can be toxic. The air you breathe, the water, the environment, is it happy or not? But the main thing I would say, what do you do first in the morning and what do you do last before sleeping is essential. You're building your life on that, actually, because you step out of your bed, think what you're thinking, and observe yourself. And there was a man that I always remember. He was, I think it was American TV. And he said, my secret is that when I step my foot on the ground, I say, I decide to be happy. And it is a decision. It's not just, it's happening to me. It is a decision. I'm going to be happy. and I will do what I want to make it happen today, whatever happens outside. So that's I think one of the key to happiness, and longevity with the rest.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so longevity, it has to do with our mental health as well. You heard it here first. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how you came to us, how this conversation came to be was because of these comments that you had made about CERN. And maybe should we do a little background on what CERN is, where it's located, and then we can dive into your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's give a little PowerPoint, right, CJ?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, so what are we seeing in this picture right here?
Well, so first of all, this is what is CERN, and basically CERN is a very large research institute, and it's highlighted by the Large Hadron Collider, where they smash particles together.
And Astrid, what do you think CERN's initial idea was when this enormous place was built to smash particles together? What were they looking for or hoping to discover?
Well, actually, that's what I did today. I thought that I need to know the history of this institution, because it is actually almost part of the UN. And it is actually built like the UN. And it was created in 1940. It started to be talked about. And in December 1949, they had a meeting all together, and there are about 11 countries that got together and said, we have to do something for science and research. By the way, CERN is the French acronym that means European Council for Nuclear Research. And it's in French, you have to know that. So if you think nuclear research, you think there are scientists, yes. So the UN in itself doesn't have an organigram with science except UNESCO, which is in Paris. And actually, what I found is that they really established it officially with UNESCO only later in 1953. And they even created a convention. You can find it on their website, or whatever I say here is, you can find the convention. It was built like exactly how the texts of the UN are built. And finally, in 1st of July 1953, it was created with a set of articles, same type, where if there is a problem, it's the International Court of Justice of the United Nations, like for the other agencies, that is deciding. So I was very surprised to see that it is like the UN, and it did construct after the World War II, the second one, knowing that the UN has been premeditated to be built after the World War I, after the World War II, and now used into World War III. The World War II never ended, actually. The Nazis went away and came back, and they were already, dispatched. It is incredible how it's done. So what I see, it is first 11 countries, but now I counted, it's about 23, and there are 3 that are new members, and the US is an observer or associate member. So it's the whole world is there, and they're working with labs. And it's interesting because they create something. We are working with labs in the world. What does that mean? Laboratory. And it is in the whole world. So when there was the eclipse on the 8th, I was researching, and I found that there were many mini CERNs around the world. And that's probably in the history of it. So the marking, there are some stepping stones. And one of the stepping stone is that Tim Berners-Lee officially in 1990 created the World Wide Web. And that was my surprise when we were doing commemoration at the UN for that, when I organized UN Open Day twice. And we had to invite the CERN, and I went to CERN and I collaborated with them. I was like, what the heck is the Wide Web doing in CERN? That was a big question. I thought, and I now start to understand, but at that time I was like, okay. So you see, it is supposed to be for science of subatomic particles. So the smallest and actually the biggest and the widest, because in their convention, they say that they'll want to analyze cosmic rays. I don't know if it's written in the text here, but yeah, they put galaxy cluster. Oh, it's your question. Anyway, it is very interesting because they are going from the smallest particle to the biggest, because they want to take cosmic rays. And that's another question I haven't solved yet, but it's new to me.
Okay, so they've been taking these particles, smashing them together to see what comes of them. And I've heard everything from they have created black holes to they are trying to create wormholes so that they can help us figure out how we can travel through the universe. But you heard some things about portals. So tell us a little bit about what you've learned about possible portals opening up in CERN.
Yeah, first the black hole thing, because black hole, there's no application. It was written on even on the website of CERN. They work with antimatter, and they work with portals, and they have all the thing of time. They want to collude the particles, so they put the particles in this lower collidron, LHC, I will call it, this huge loop of 27 kilometers that they want to build now to 91 kilometers.
Oh, wow.
And they put it to the speed of light, and they want to collude all these particles so that the explosion will open something, a part of the portal, or some new beings coming out. And they even said that. So if you want the portal, yeah, I have a story to say, and we can come back to this experiments that are, and what they said on the 8th. I have a quote here of the director of research on the eclipse day, what they want to do. When I was always intrigued by CERN, and there are two perspectives why. One is because in the what is happening with the WHO in the epidemic of typology that I was in charge of for 3.5 years at WHO to teach. There was a typology on infectious disease, but I mean, it's bacteria, parasites. It's not just obsession with virus. My viromania, actually, now we know it does not even exist. You know, it's a detox. And the second was foodborne disease. The third was chemical, and that's why the cremicine has to take care of all that. You know, when there are deaths. And the last one is radionuclear. So I was inviting people from the Atomic Agency, International Energy Atomic Agency in Vienna, and they were collaborating with CERN. And I you know, the students could ask questions, but I always ask questions. And I said, is it dangerous to be near CERN? And are there particles? And is there a surge in cancer? Have you noticed that people are more sick in this? And he said, oh, no. They're denying that radionuclear events are even creating thyroid cancer, which is proven. So that was my first very big question. I was like, CERN is here. They're doing subatomic explosion. And, you know, it's like radionuclear. And we don't have, maybe we're going to disappear in a black hole. I was like, what's going to happen? Yeah, so that was the first, I've always questioned. They were very strange and stuff. So forward to 2016, I was invited to, you know, kind of marriage dinner. Very nice, and they seated me with two physicians from the CERN, and I said, "Fantastic!" I said, "I'm going to ask them all those questions."
Jackpot.
So yeah, it was great. And so they were from Portugal, and because it was in Portugal, this dinner, and so I said the first thing I'm very interested in is how many dimensions do we have in this world. Because we call 3D, 4D, 5D, and there's a lot of discussions, and something that always intrigued me. So they both affirmed 17. Oh, 17. I said, but where is this written? Can I find something? Can you give me some document? They did not give me any link, any document. It was like, no, we just know there are 17 dimensions. Okay, and I said, so what special can you tell me about those 17 dimensions? How far did you explore? That's when they talked about the portal. And on the picture you showed, that's the type of portal we see in Stargate, right? This thing, yeah, exactly. So the movies in Hollywood have kind of warned us. Everybody tells me I should watch all the Stargate because that's where a lot of the truth has come. But so this portal, they have many different labs and rooms with portals, and this big LHC, 27 kilometers around. They explained to me that they were not in the experiment, but their friends were from the CERN in Geneva, that they asked for beings to come from the portal, from other dimensions, and a being came. I call it being because I said, so can you describe? And they said, no, we can't. We don't know. So maybe they know and they couldn't talk about it. And I said, but how do you know it's really not invented? And he said that they did it again a few times, and once clothes were left, a scarf. And again, question, how was the scarf, and etc. But they didn't know. But it's a known fact in the CERN. And I stayed with that, like perplexed, because I said, how come that nobody talks about this? Happened, with the eclipse and everything. I said, yeah, makes sense. And I spoke about Apollonian and this, with Maria Z on the TV, her TV 2 years ago, the first time. It was very important. I said, yeah.
So
in fact, CERN is built on a altar.
The scarf, the leaving of the scarf behind, that shifts my thought process a lot, because I know that one thing CERN is wanting to do is work on time travel. So is it possible that the being that they were coming in contact with was a human from a different time period? Because when you think scarf, you definitely think human. We don't hear about demons or aliens or what have you leaving scarves, but not to say that they couldn't, of course. But that makes me think more time travel than opening a portal to another planet or universe or what have you.
Well, they describe that they are time portal. That's one of their topics. It's there on CERN. I don't know if they've put it lately, but I never saw that before. This Mandela effect. They put the news and they say, no, it was always there, and you start doubting about your past.
Yeah.
So I think they have time machines they discovered in the caves of the Vatican, in the tunnels, and there is in Europe, large Europe, the Buseghi, and I mean it's known like that, but I have never seen one. There are time machines that were used by the Vatican, hidden by the CIA, etc. If this is right, then they have done it before.
Yeah, and of course the Vatican would be involved with something like that.
So, yeah, because if they lie, they don't want us to know, because they've been lying. Maybe they've been even adding 1,000 year. That's what we can see on some monuments. They've been adding 1,000 year on Jesus Christ year. So there are many possibilities. That's what as you are an open audience, there are many possibilities, but you can see the proof, because many monuments can just put I before a Roman I, but in fact it should be another letter that is different, or it should be at the same size, and it's not. And there are many things that they've been hiding that we know. There are giants. There are giants that have existed in St. Petersburg, and there are proofs of that. So they lie so much that a time machine would really be fantastic for us. But they made Hollywood Back to the Future to make us believe that it's not the way that we think it is. It's much easier.
Where we're going, we don't need roads. Astrid, that's what they say in Back to the Future. Wow, seriously, what better way to control the narrative than to be able to control time itself?
Yeah, I was.
And some military, I don't know if you saw this video. I forgot his name, from a military who talked about that they were using the time machine in this war. It's a very different war from the Second World War they have portrayed to us historically, and that it is a chess game on the time machine, because they know and they have won. And he said, we have already won since 2012, but it is a question. It is absolutely no doubt that the things are going to change for the better. I forgot, and it is a special name, this project of the military. I forgot now.
We'll
it's not paper.
Look that up. We'll look that up
Sorry.
and get we'll look it up and get a link in here so that
Yeah.
people can check that
So
out for
it's
themselves.
good to know that the movements now are more about narrative censorship, etc. And we know this with the. I invite everybody to go and see the interview of Tucker Carlson with Mike Benz, because Mike Benz saying that it is a war on narrative censorship and of course history, lies. So the CERN is the same. They are lying. They're going to subatomic levels. They know a lot of things. And actually what we see is that they're actually summoning entities to come in a portal.
Right.
And it is exactly what happened. I don't know if you want to talk about it now. At the eclipse, that's when I posted most, because I was like, whoa, the Director General of the CERN, I can even quote that.
Yes, let's talk about it.
There is a guy who made a TED talk, I think he's called Rich Sutton, who created the quantum computer D-Wave. And he said that in the TED talk that they are really waiting now for entities and aliens coming in portals. And, these entities we are summoning, it's going to work soon. And so now they're summoning through the AI. But anyway, let's come back to the CERN on 8th of April, the eclipse. But they've tried it before, I think in July 22, I saw. But we were all very concerned about this.
Every time she goes to talk about the eclipse, she gets frozen. So there's clearly something that somebody doesn't want her talking about.
There does seem to be something going on.
Anymore. I'm not going to say the word anymore.
She's back again. Yeah.
Because
When they were
it's
looking
AI,
at the
it's
thing in the sky, with the sun happening.
incredible, but I mean, I'm used to this. So the director for research and scientific computer at CERN, Sergio Bertolucci, I'm not censored, good. Okay, he said the Titanic machine may possibly create or discover previously unimagined scientific phenomena or unknowns, for instance, an extra dimension. And he says, out of this, and it's really quoted, out of this portal, might come something, or we might send something through it. Can you imagine? He said that. And then you can find it on the web. And I put on my X, when I posted, I put the link to that text.
Yeah.
You had to find it. I went and did research because I knew they were trying to call upon entities like they did, with the Gotthard and this. So
let's talk about that. Okay, so first, it seems to me that if we are going to travel throughout this universe, then a portal, a wormhole is the only way to do it, other than, cryogenically freezing some of us for however long to get places. But looking to...
Well, I have another hypothesis.
Sure,
Yeah, I have another hypothesis. As, the film Matrix was a call, like Truman Show. But the fact that we are in a matrix already, we are kept in a matrix, and we by frequency that have been built upon us, whatever earth we have, that keeps us off from going and traveling the way we want. And it is done on purpose. Before the Tartaria countries had all those scalar waves and free energy, and there are still remnants about that. But if we think about that logic, that they have put us under, and they know we are raising up and we are finding out a lot, so they put us even more down, with chemtrails and stuff. 20 to 40 elements in chemtrails from the table of Mendeleev has been found in the last months in the air in nano size. So they're trying to really put us down, and we cannot connect. And we when we are born, when we decide and accept to be born, I would say, we forget where we are from. And for me, this is really it's my journey. My spiritual journey brings me there. That's why we can only sense or experiment, and I've experimented a lot of things, so that are not scientifically proven, but they question everything, and it is an experience.
Yes. So if I'm understanding correctly, I've heard this concept that we all have different frequencies at different dimensions, and that in order to access a different dimension, you would have to be on a different frequency. So for your standpoint, if we can control our frequency, get out of the control of others and those that are trying to lower our frequency, we might be able to travel to different dimensions that way.
Yeah, you can, but you have to be careful not to be caught in what they want us to believe. And that's why religions, the way that they're imposing, now they're going to try to create another science religion, they are keeping us in the grid. So I'm really into even the hypothesis I keep that the dharma, the karma, of the Buddhists, that you reincarnate is because you cannot get out of their matrix. Because you get out of your life and you have been programmed to believe that this is going to be like this and like that, and you go back down. And how to get out of the matrix is my big question now. And one of them is frequency, but it's also to recognize authenticity and what is real and what is not real. And that's exactly the exercise we're going through now. So frequency is definitely, but it's also questioning the programmation we've gone through. And if you have made this website, it's because you are deprogramming the beliefs. So I like that.
We're trying.
No, that's a great point about the matrix.
To be continued. All things unexplained.
What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.
All Things Unexplained is free to watch on YouTube and listen to wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to support our show, you can visit our YouTube store. Additionally, you can find us on Venmo under All Things Unexplained. Be sure to check out our website, allthingsunexplained.com. All proceeds from the sales of Dr. Mounce's books on Amazon and Audible also go straight to our show.